Hello my friends, today we're talking about rattling deer and we're bringing in our special guest Steve and we're going to talk about rattling. How you doing, Steve?
Hello there.
So Steve, let's talk about rattling deer.
Alright, well this is a synthetic version of deer antlers. It actually looks pretty realistic, which is pretty nice. And the reason why it's important for hunters or even people that just want to observe deer, they want to call them in. It's kind of an aggressive call, but which is why hunters mainly use it. But basically, antler calling or rattling is used to entice other deer, to challenge them to a fight or even play, have a playful battle with another deer peer.
Sparring.
Yeah, sparring. So here we go. That's a typical, two bucks going at it. That's what it would sound like. This is actually pretty nice set. I do believe these are yours.
Yep.
Nice set.
But this is being synthetic. Now, do you believe there's a little bit of a difference in sound?
A little bit. There ain't much of a sound. I think the difference I can tell is it's more of a deadening sound with a natural versus a synthetic. Like this is more of a plasticky type of sound versus a natural sound. And I got a small little set right here that from a buck that I had harvested a few years ago, and to me it does sound, I mean, it's a small set, but it sounds a little bit different than that one. To me, it just sounds like it's more dense when you're hitting with the real antler versus the fake. But I can see how that could draw too, because you're getting more of a sound from the synthetic. It echoes louder.
Okay, well then now you even have here what they call a rattling bag. Now, what would be the purpose of a rattle bag other than being a little easier to carry in?
That's exactly it. It's a convenience thing. It's convenience without having to lug something that big into the woods. You just slip this into a pack or a pocket and just walk in. It's pretty close to that.
Now, what are those usually made of? Wood?
Usually they're wooden dowels inside.
Yeah.
I should say wooden square dowels. This one seems to be plastic.
Does it?
Yep. But pretty much you're getting the same sound out of a bag, which is what you want.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to rattling, now, is there certain times of year that rattling is better than others? And I know, like, even some states, like here in Massachusetts, rattling is done. People do it, but like in Texas, it's a lot more popular in Texas.
Yeah, so bucks don't typically go against one another when they're in velvet because it's painful. It's the tissue that grows the antler. Now when they shed that tissue or velvet, that's when you usually should use the bag, because that's when they're starting to get into that mode where they're going to scrub and rape and all that sort of stuff, and then they're also going to spar with one another, especially the younger bucks.
So in the spring, it's more of a less of a clack. It's more of a softer, not as aggressive. Would you say that or not?
I wouldn't say the spring, because the deer,
spring. I'm sorry.
yeah, no,
early
fall season. Yeah, I would say that it's a lighter, less aggressive.
Yeah.
Especially with the younger bucks.
And
with the older bucks, you're going to have the more aggressive, like we did earlier.
So as the rut comes into more into play, you're more apt to get that real.
Yeah, you can get more aggressive with the bag. You can get more aggressive with the calls. It's a really good tool to have.
Now the other thing is that I hear a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take like the bag, and they'll take it, if they're up in a tree stand, they'll tie a rope to it, and they'll take it and they'll drop it down and bang it on the ground a little bit to get that rustling sound in the leaves. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard different tricks from some old timers that they like to do that. I've even heard of guys carrying sticks with them, tying it on and just rustling the leaves. And I will say, I brought my children out, and when they rustle in the leaves, we've attracted deer before. So I think it's more of a curiosity thing with the leaves than anything.
Now how about like tree raking like they do for like moose? Could you do that and lure deer in too, or?
Yeah, probably with smaller trees or bushes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get aggressive with the larger trees by any means, like the moose do, because you'd
Right.
probably scare away a lot of, especially smaller bucks.
Right, right. Now, the thing is that when you're doing this, you don't want to be like out here making all kinds of rattling, because you got that. Once again, you
Right.
got that motion.
That's where this comes in handy. If you're in a spot where you're, like for instance where we are, you get a lot of tree back cover and whatnot. You could use this if you're up in a tree where you have a lot of cover. Now, if you're in a spot where you're in a tree or not even not in a tree, you're just in the open, in the field, or even in a blind, you want to probably use something more like this because it's more concealed. You don't have to move your hands all around. Instead of moving your hands all around, all you got to do is roll it in between your hands, and you're getting that same noise out of this little bag.
All right. Well, I think other than what I want to do, guys, is I want to go ahead and I'm going to have Steve take these, and Steve's going to go off camera. He's going to grab his little ones right there, and he's going to do each one once. And in the comments, go ahead and leave a comment telling me which one you think was the real ones. This would be number one. This would be number two. And now number three. Well, I'm watching him doing it, but I can honestly tell you, I think you can tell. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys.